Mm-hmm. I can, but I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to do anything. Wait a minute. Now, where is the part? I have to go back to the Zoom. And this should say, oh, see, it doesn't. Shouldn't this say owl? Where the heck is owl?
Yeah, the angle. It's the angle. It's the yellow one. Eyeballs are on.
I see eyeballs.
It's flashing.
Yeah, let's do this. Why don't I see owl? Hang on. Why are you not telling me? I mean, it's giving me. Should I plug it right into the computer instead? Oh, but this works. It even says it works.
It worked the last meeting.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, we could try it. So what? You plug this right into the computer.
Well, except I don't know if I can. More than one. Like got everything else this time.
That one go right here. Just little. Oh, oh, that's good.
I'm gonna go all the way around. Oh, look at it will. Still got power. Give it the old. Oh, turn it off. Oh, wait, maybe. No, it didn't work. Oh,
That one. Okay. Well, last time it was the hub that,
Yeah.
but now we have a new hub and it worked the last meeting. I think the owl might be possessed.
And meanwhile, we're live streaming right now too, so people are probably laughing at us. Except we're not, because I don't have video. Okay, try the other one. But I don't know what that does. What? What is this? Is an owl, right? It should say owl, right? Well, I'm sure somebody's texting us about it and laughing. Who's texting us and laughing at us? Kelsey, is it you?
Yes. That's, I've got. Walk around from that side.
No, we can't get the owl to go on. I mean, it looks like it's on. It's blinking eyes at us, but it's not hooing.
Not moving.
And I can't see on YouTube. If I look at video, I don't see owl as an option, and audio, I don't see owl as an option. Okay. Let's let it reset itself. Unplugging. Oh, we just unplugged it from that. Okay, I'll
Right.
call you back if I have to.
I
Thank you. So
We
far, at
did
least in
that.
food, bye.
think that one. Okay, so Colette just,
That must be that.
because we did that once.
Yay. Yay.
Well, yeah.
It's gonna
I
take
believe
me
so.
Okay,
That would be my guess.
but then why
Yeah.
don't we see anything? Should we be seeing anything? It's like, but like, we don't have a weird. Tom, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent.
Green iPad or computers on, so you can see that.
Yeah.
You see if somebody's got their hand up.
Mhm.
Yeah, because once you get sucked into a conversation, then I forget to look too, so.
Cause you can't see it from here at all.
Yeah.
The other thing on that screen is the symbol of, the Cordova symbol, otherwise it's black.
Well, that's.
See, Kevin's listening to us and he's texting.
Can you
Wait,
hear us there,
let's
Tom?
check the video input in.
Yeah, I can hear you, don't see anything.
Is there a button?
There's one.
In?
Oh my God, did I bring it to you?
I don't know.
Video lost.
I bumped you in the-
Oh. Duh.
Something's happening. There you are.
We are here, Steve, Tom.
All right, I got you.
Okay, well, Kevin leaves it to the boomers, and that's fine. Just let it happen. Don't forget how. Better than before, 35.
How are you doing that? Is your mic on? Oh, stop.
Look how well they trained that.
Oh, my goodness, that's Colette. Colette, I think, all sideways.
It just doesn't. Something's got a
That's
short-
That is wrong.
got a short there somewhere.
But you still have to get close to it, Dave.
Yeah.
And not whisper.
And you whisper.
Get close.
Okay, I'm moving it again. I'm sorry.
Okay, are we ready? Are we on record?
We are.
Okay, we'll call the city council public hearing of March 5th, 2025 at 6:45 to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Allison.
Here.
Tom Baylor.
Here.
Kathy Sherman. Absent. Casey Kinsman.
Here.
Wendy Rainey.
Here.
Dave Zastro.
Here.
Kristen Smith. Here. Ken Jones is absent. That's a form of council.
Here, our public hearing tonight is on ordinance 1229, an ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 10-year lease with option to purchase with Emily Anderson and Skylar Newman for lot 15A, block 5 of Odiak Park subdivision. You're here to speak on that ordinance. Mic's open. Nobody rushing, we will recess for about 10 minutes and see if anybody shows up. So we'll be a recess for 10 minutes.
The thing to do so that it's not. Get to the. No, that's not it either. I don't know.
I would prefer to see Second Street.
What's the latest steps say on that? I didn't go into that
I
yet.
think 27.
He looked at it, but I was just thinking that the city should comment and say, why do we keep getting pushed out and
Yeah.
let's. And let's move it up.
Saturday, it's really not gonna be 28, and just great, let us know it's gonna be 26, 27, 30.
I think we just
32.
and just keep moving out because we're not really vocal about it. I don't know, it could be long, you might have a better idea.
Sometimes it's because they're, issue with some kind of environment, whether it's right away.
Is that which end?
Wait to do.
Do they have to apply right away for Second Street?
I'm not sure, I don't think very little, and someone just. But they're, you know, they're.
Especially now that this guy came out, I think he made a lot
The next
of.
step is money in for the next, they can't, it's part of the.
As far as Bronx.
But yeah.
There's two individuals who are CD.
It's really.
There's a lot of CDFU with visual representation there.
Yeah, I mean, he's.
Now keep pushing it out.
He's,
Yeah, cause the other thing is.
he was our C grant rep.
The cost thing keeps.
Well, we just keep spending more money on patching it.
Yes, yeah, that's.
What is it?
My wife-
Did I send you guys anything else today that I should have made copies of?
I think it was just the.
Oh, yes.
And then.
Oh,
There was something with that.
Yeah.
thought I made copies.
I know that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will keep the fishery.
This was for the fishing report. I saw that one, but there was another one. I must have missed it.
It's the plans for the entrance log.
Oh, wait. With the,
Oh, you're talking about the landscape architect drawing.
oh, yeah, no, yeah, okay,
You printed that up.
yeah,
You printed it up.
I printed it.
Yeah.
Well, she just, yeah, I asked her.
So she was asking what was missing. That was the thing that was.
Yeah.
just put out.
Yeah, well, it's because you're tech now, and I'm.
But, yeah, you are, it's true.
Well, it says, because I got locked out of my city council email, I haven't been able to get anything.
It's.
Oh, that happened to me once too, they called Arctic IT and.
Yeah, I got the number yesterday from Susan.
That's happened to me a lot.
Mine did that just the other day, but they kept answering the question. She wanted that.
Still, after 24 hours.
Get different, one time they had me open,
Good mail.
try to log in from a.
You read
private
them or no matter what?
That only worked once, and then after that, if I log in.
Well, I mean, I go, I just know now, so I just
No, right.
bounce back and forth.
It makes me log in every time, so even if I answer, they log in.
Or like not.
I go from here to my house,
Yeah.
even if I leave it in that same window.
Oh, you're the one
with
Mine was just in my Apple, my phone mail.
Yeah.
Just said, you know, new password required. I'm like, what? Can't see anything, can't do it.
Yeah, like the whole from today. Alright.
I just believe it.
I'm surprised to get through that whole password reset cycle.
I need to have to type that whole thing in. Like I went to go pull up the coverage space, but I gotta tell you how it's already in my tweeted.
Yeah, I'm at a meeting, you gotta call mama,
Myself still.
you know mama's number, right? Okay, call mom.
So they gonna calculate that on the sidewalk or is that just?
There's nothing more to it.
There's
no contact.
The concept line. Yeah.
That sidewalk.
Oh.
That sounds.
Because, you know.
Not looking at it, easily out.
And that's not, that's not an entire time, I don't think, that's just. Nobody. Everybody's there first, I was.
No, there's plenty of room there to do a raised sidewalk and then even where they have the hand railing, it's raised up 6 inches, so you could do.
Yeah. It was great.
Set up well for doing it. For some reason, the state says, hey, we have a sidewalk.
For Harvard.
Yeah.
You never know, man.
So who runs which entity do you have?
For me, it would never been an LCLC, because you already have, you gain more thing, we have some other TDMU.
Yeah. A little more pressure.
And, but I do think that they both bring something to the table for a smart one to,
Right.
you know, especially if Kelsey's gonna help facilitate, she facilitates all the CDP meetings. Somebody that'll actually keep meetings on track and have one. That's the other problem, is you get a group of fishermen and then all of a sudden the meeting's never, so.
Starting to get some noise on Facebook about the hatcheries again.
Oh, it's
I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it's never gonna stop either, so. Are they moving the buoy? They're not relocating.
Susan, do you want one?
Started going, thank you. Some of these studies are. Looking at my seal in.
Yeah,
That's okay.
and then you have people say, oh, our wild salmon aren't doing very well. I'm like,
Hello?
why did we hit multiple records in the last 10 years?
Tina.
Offset by really bad. Cogtail's been over escaped last 2 days with huge fish and small fish, everything. Climate change. Hatcheries are fine, they can all be correlated with the rise in ocean temperature. Or a boogie net, or hatcheries with a boogie net.
Short. Ready to try again?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. We are back from recess and we are looking at ordinance 1229, a purchase agreement with Emily Anderson and Skylar Newman. Anybody have any comments on that they want to make? Once. Okay, that being the end of our public hearing, we will adjourn the public hearing.
Kathy, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Give me a minute.
Okay, there you are.
Now we
Okay.
can.
Okay,
Just check
sorry,
on.
I'm in a canyon.
Oh, what canyon are you in?
Well, it's called Burrow Canyon. And actually, the Air Force practices here running through the canyon at night. It's amazing.
Like running on their feet
Or
or?
running?
No, flying their very fast jets through the canyon, dropping flares. It's fascinating. A little unnerving, but fascinating.
Sounds a little unsafe of a
Hopefully you're not
location.
camping there.
Yeah, we're camping. We're not sure how long the runs will last. I wasn't able to get service though till the skies cleared, so that was great.
Oh, the planes left. That's very standard.
Yeah, planes in the clouds.
UPS everything. Ready? Good.
Yes.
Okay, call the regular city council meeting of March 5th, 2025, 7 p.m. to order. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call please.
Mayor Allison,
Here.
Tom Baylor,
Yeah,
Kathy Sherman,
Here,
Casey Kinsman,
Here.
Wendy Rainey. Here. Dave Zastro,
Here.
Kristen Smith,
Here.
Ken Jones.
Here.
That is all council.
Okay, thank you. Any objection to the agenda as presented? I do have one modification, I would like to make it, remove the 2 executive sessions. From there, I only got 3 of the evaluations back, so we'll give you another couple weeks to do that if you've already turned it in and you wanna rethink, and I haven't looked at any of them yet, so, feel free to, but if you can get them back by the 17th at noon. Monday at noon before our next meeting, then we'll try to take care of the next meeting before after the council changes. Any objection to approving it as amended?
No, Mayor Allison,
Yes,
I was just gonna say, I have mine done. I haven't been able to send it to you, but I'll do that as soon as I get service.
okay, no worries, yeah, just do it by the 17th. It doesn't take too long to tally those up and, the hardest part of them is retyping the comments. But, I figured out how to use my voice thing on that, so. Okay, we have the agenda there, disclosure of conflicts of interest and ex parte communications. Ready? Okay, hearing none, then we will move on to communications by and petitions for visitors. We don't have any guest speakers, so audience comments regarding agenda items. Anybody in the audience land wanna make comments about anything on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we've got chairperson represented of boards and commissions. Are there any boards and commissions represented here this evening? Doesn't look like it. We only have the two online, right?
Yeah.
And we have no student council report this time, so the consent calendar is before you.
Oh, I got what's on there. On the consent calendar, Ken Jones,
Yes.
Casey Kinsman,
Yes.
Wendy Rainey. Yes. Kathy Sherman. Tom Baylor, yes, I heard it. Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Kristen Smith. Yes. And Dave Zastro.
Yes.
The consent calendar is approved.
Thank you. Our minutes were in the consent calendar. So considerations of bids, proposals, contract, council award of RFP for the mile 17 landfill survey. Yes,
I move to direct the city manager to negotiate a contract with PND Engineers Incorporated to provide the surveying services outlined in RFP, Public Works -25-01 for a sum not to exceed $29,630. I'll second it.
okay.
Rock, scissors, paper.
Sue got that second there.
Zastro.
Okay, Councilor Smith.
Yeah, this is a, contract that's brought forward by staff recommended for helping with, managing the landfill, and I support it.
Okay, Councilor Zester.
Yeah, same, and already budgeted for in 25 budget, so move forward.
Councilor Rainey.
Yeah, we needed to get the certification that's required for that, so. Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Kinsman.
Yeah, it's outlined clearly, what, I guess, what. Is this gonna help us with any future grants that we could go after for fencing or any of those kind of things? Okay,
Certainly could have worked.
okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Sherman.
Yes, my questions were the same as Councilman Kinsler's and Kinsey's, and yeah, I am in favor of it.
Thank you. Councilor Jones.
Yeah, sounds good.
Councilor Baylor.
I support it.
Okay, sounds like everybody's good with it, so is that a roll call?
No,
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, you have a contract you can sign. Council approval of amendment to city clerk's contract. This was an oversight. I knew it was expiring. I wasn't sure what the date was on that, so we will discuss it in detail at her evaluation that time. But this just extends it to May. To keep us legal, she's without a contract today, so. So look for a motion to approve the amendment.
I move to
Mo-
approve the amendment to the clerk's contract.
Second,
Okay, Counselor Rainey,
Yep, we need to keep her getting paid until we can get a contract in place, so I approve the amendment to move it.
okay, Counselor Sherman,
same, thank you.
anybody else? Need to go down the list then. Okay, all those in favor of approving the extension to the clerk's contract, say aye.
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 Oh, it's fine. It should be a roll call, but it's,
Oh.
No, no, it's fine.
Oh, it says roll call.
because it just has to be 4 of you, and
Okay.
you just went 7-0, that's all good.
We're good then?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I did.
Do you think May 21st is okay? I just tried to put a council meeting date out there just in case.
I would think that we
We
could
should have to get it
March.
together. I hope so.
It might be another meeting. Yeah, I think by May.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, Board of Officers, mayor's report. To make comments on the several different things here. Just gonna comment on the election staff, and the extra effort they went through it. They had a long evening and, did a good job. We never have a problem with our election, so appreciate that. I'm sure that'll be mentioned under the clerk's report. I don't have anything special. I will save my big speech for next week or next meeting. Just a reminder that the Interior Conference Regional Basketball Tournament is in Cordova this week. It starts tomorrow. 14 games over 3 days. The boys are seated top in the conference. So they've got a good shot at that. Championship game is Friday night, not Saturday. Saturday's winner goes to state, but it's a third place game. So the girls are, I think, seeded third, maybe something like that. But anyway, both got a good shot at making state this year. So there'll be a lot of kids in town. I'm sure a lot of adults will be traveling with them too. So should be busy around town. Certainly at the schools, come out and support them. Any questions? Hey, manager's report.
Okay. Okay. I've been working on the Denali grant. It is due on the 10th. In probably over the weekend. Give it a couple more weeks. I have also been working with Hannah from the hospital on the CDBG grant, which we as the city don't qualify for, but because there is elderly and people in the hospital living, we can apply for there. So if I haven't, Hannah, we've talked about the generator, there's a few other things, but generator is in desperate need of replacement, so we'll probably go for that.
What is GAT grant through?
The state. Yes. Fire marshal candidate is gonna be here on the 12th. He's gonna meet with staff. I'll pick him up from the airport and take him out to dinner. And then Thursday, he'll attend the Thursday night training with the volunteers. And he will also spend part of Thursday at the station with Ann Teller and Derek, who's acting right now. We're super excited about his experience. He's done a lot. He's been volunteer chief, he's been a paid staff chief, he's worked on a variety of things. He has his EMT somewhere around, I think EMT2, I don't think quite a paramedic, but it's national wide, so he transfers right in, there's no waiting on that, so it's pretty exciting, he's pretty excited to get here. So, that'll go well, Amanda and I met with, the NBE staff to talk about the Copper River Highway lots, so we were just getting that preliminary, meeting together, and we chatted and talked about a few different things, we kind of both have some homework assignments to look into. So that's moving, we have been also with HANA, because our insurance is, in coordination with the hospital as well, we have been working with our hub rep to explore some options, to see what's out there and maybe, what we can do. He already re-looked at our claims and we're too high to reevaluate at this point, but we'll look in another quarter. We will be putting the finance director position out on Friday. We are just doing the final search on the remote language. We want that to look. And then I'm gonna be on leave on the 13th, which is a Thursday, take Friday off, fly home Monday, be back on Tuesday. And that's all I have, unless somebody has questions.
Questions for Sam, anybody? Yeah, Kristen.
I don't know how out there this is, but there was an email that I think maybe, I don't know, I'm guessing came to other council members, but it was just about, it was about a solicitation, but saying like, hey, do you need cybersecurity services for your city systems? And it was talking about the water system, I think in particular, and I was just thinking about all the horror stories you hear about utility systems kind of getting held ransom for data, and I just wondered what our protection is it all through our IT, is that how we get?
Yes, we just did a major security upgrade, this month. Seems like it's been 100 years. It's been about 6 months, 7 months, and that has just been completed. And they also do little tests once in a while where they send out things like a phishing, and then we push on it, and then you have to do homework. So yeah, that's ours, and they have a pretty in-depth system in place. And then, since I did forget this, we have been still meeting with the fire marshal. Sorry. The fire chief, the acting fire marshal, and the ambulance crew, just trying to hammer out the MOU and get things going. And so that's been going pretty good. A lot to talk about, a lot of different stuff going on. So, but it's been productive and positive. It's good.
Good. Anybody else, anything for the manager? Online, just pipe up if you have something to say, I can't see you, so. Okay, nothing else for the manager, we'll move on to the clerk.
You see, I put a few things in there, council member Rainey, who went to the AML conference, gave a little report on what she learned, which was interesting to read. Well, I guess I kept that public notice about fisheries committee in just in case anybody else wanted to apply, because I never really put an end date, but then the mayor mentioned that it would be good if we had enough to put it on sooner rather than later, because you had something maybe to test them with.
The board of fish is coming up again, so.
Okay.
Those proposals should be reviewed.
Okay, so maybe after we do that agenda item, at pending agenda, you can tell me if you want them to meet or whatever. And then a letter from appraisal company, just, they've been doing that these last few years, it seems, just to give a little heads up on what's out there. And the assessment notices have been sent, and we've been hearing questions and things, but nothing major. Some land is what he said, and then he reevaluated some trailer courts and the townhouses, I think, just because they've been selling a lot, and even trailers have been selling a lot, so just did a little bit of a reevaluation. And then obviously the election yesterday, I'm sure everyone knows the results, I'm not gonna sit here and say them all out, but with 35 ballots remaining, I don't think any races are still in play. So it's pretty settled which is sad for the people whose ballots are still left to count, but we will do it, we have to. And that's not until they're due in by the 18th. We'll meet the morning of the 19th, so the certification will be at the meeting on the 19th. And then the way voter charter, I think it's charter, speaks about the newly elected start their terms the day after certification. So there's never an issue of, you know, you certify, but then you guys still sit at the table and finish the meeting on the 19th. I think that's all I have to report. I can answer questions.
Questions for the clerk?
I should say how great the clerks were, the election clerks helping. It went pretty smoothly. Dividing into two was great, 715 ballots counted. And it is a slow go, there's no doubt about it. So dividing it was the way to go. So that might be the way to do it in the future, which I think we know well enough to do that anytime we think it's a big turnout, so.
We certainly appreciate the efforts. So they do get paid, but
They get paid.
it isn't enough
It's a lot of hours.
for the work they do.
And then the difficult part is late at night when we're exhausted, so.
It's a long day for sure.
But I ask them always, I said, you want shifts and whatever, but I think a lot of the time, the ones that are taking the signatures in and whatever, they wanna be there for the end too, because the books are theirs to count, you know? They were the ones working it, so it works out. They're still willing,
Good. You always run a good election, so thank you.
thanks.
Just a random question. I know last election, I think it was our third lowest turnout we had on vote numbers.
It was a small one, it was 250 last year.
And then this year, how did that rate for participation?
Well, I don't have the total until we know exactly how many of those 35, but, I don't know, I have a very big statistics sheet, but I haven't quite filled it all in yet, because all the columns aren't able to be filled in yet. But the newspaper was asking today, and 3 years ago, in 22, we had a bigger turnout, but we had more, people, on our rolls that year. And that was almost a 41 or 2% turnout. This year, even if the 35 come in, we'd only be at 37%, but that's still very good, and I think above average. Right, how was the nation in 24?
I think that's better than,
Yeah,
I think that's better than average for the nation.
Yeah. right, but that 250 obviously is pretty small.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the clerk? Okay, we got a bunch of correspondence there. Is there anything we needed to deal with?
I can't remember if we talked about, the city writing a letter to the delegation about essential air service. I mean, I know there's something in here, and I can't remember.
Yeah,
if
we
talked
put
about
in a resolution. but
Oh,
not-
right, but that was
That was-
supporting it.
that was supporting it,
Yeah.
right? I'm just thinking.
Now it's like, is it on the
We can do
chopping
that.
block and should we support,
Send
or
a
not chopping?
letter of support to Murkowski and Sullivan and Page.
Yeah, that would, yeah, absolutely. It won't hurt. Yeah.
Another thing that, I saw that was a little concerning was Dunleavy has put forward some legislation to allow, fish farming in the state of Alaska, inland fish farms for all species except for salmon, but that can still directly impact our fisheries, and I don't think that's something we want to see move forward, so if we can contact Louis Stutes or
Started on
Gary
it.
Stevens or whoever, write a letter, I don't know.
Once you get started, it's easier to
Might be something to task the new fisheries committee
Sure.
with.
be reviewing it, yeah. Anything else on the correspondence? Okay, ordinances and resolutions. We got ordinance 1229. We had a public hearing on tonight. An ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 10-year lease with option to purchase with Emily Anderson and Skylar Newman for lot 15A, block 5, of Odie Park subdivision, second reading. Motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve.
A second. Councilor Jones.
Yeah, I have supported this from the beginning. I think it's great to see, some young Cordovans that are looking to buy property and, build a duplex. We need more housing in town, so, yeah, I support it.
Okay, Zastro.
Concur with everything council member Jones just said.
Councilman Baylor.
Yeah, no, I don't support it. I don't think having the taxpayers of the city of Cordova giving out an interest-free loan for 10 years is really a good deal. It's only $65,000. If they can't come up with that, chances are they won't get a duplex built anyway. But you know, we usually go 2-3 years out with this. If they need to lease it for longer, that's fine, but it shouldn't be interest-free in my view. So I would vote no.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Smith.
I support it.
Councilor Kinsman.
Yep, I'll support it.
Councilor Sherman
I'll support it.
and Councilor Rainey.
I support it.
Anybody else? Second round? No, this is a roll call, so roll call please.
On adoption of ordinance 1229, Wendy Rainey,
Yes.
Kristen Smith,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
No.
Casey Kinsman,
Yes.
Kathy Sherman,
Yes.
Ken Jones,
Yes.
Dave Zastro.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished business. Council action to issue an RFP for lot 1, block 7A of the Tidewater Development Park, aka the Breakwater Fill Lot, Harbor Entrance Lot.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you. I move to dispose of lot 1, block 7A, Tidewater Development Park as outlined in Cordova Municipal Code 7.40.060 by directing the city manager to request sealed proposals to lease or purchase the property.
I'll second that.
Councilor Smith.
Thank you. So we have talked about this once before. I did ask that it be brought back. I know there's. If we had a chronology of this particular piece of property, I think it would fill at least a page. Kind of with different ways that it has come up and been talked about being used. Initially, I think it was constructed for the purpose of blocking the swell coming into the North Harbor. And then at one point, people thought, oh, the new science center could go there. And clearly, we found a better path for that because the new science center would not have fit on this lot. It's about 20,000 square feet of usable space, I think, even though the footprint's a little bit wider because of the brick wrap. And so there's been some commercial interest expressed in it. We've also seen in the correspondence, there's an awful lot of interest in maintaining some open space for use by people. I do 100% agree on needing to have some kind of thoughtful approach for how we develop our waterfront because we don't have a ton of open space left for recreational access for the waterfront. But I also felt like one of our bigger seafood processors expressed some interest a couple of years ago, maybe at least 2 by now, maybe it's been 3, in developing a dock off the South Fill, and there was some elements of the community that said they really didn't like that idea and they would be opposed to it. And I've been thinking, okay, if we say no there, where can we say yes? How can we, is it possible to do both? Can we have yes and? So I would really I really want to urge us to think about going out for proposals as a way of seeing what interest there is and what might be proposed and whether it's possible to do a little bit of both. I mean, can we allow for some commercial development there? Maybe one of the processors wants to put, I know they want to put a dock there. Maybe they want an ice machine or some kind of an ice house. does that take up 20,000 square feet? Maybe not. Maybe it's possible to have also some open space and still a couple of food trucks in the coffee hut. But we won't know until we solicit some proposals, if we want to put some kind of guidelines in there about how anybody who does propose to do something there needs to accommodate green space. That's something to think about. So anyway, I would really like to see if we couldn't go through the RFP process and see what ideas come up and help us come up with, because I do think it'd be good to decide once and for all, what is our shared vision for this property? You know, if we do this and the majority of people come out and say, absolutely not, it needs to be open space, okay, make that decision. And then take it off the land use maps as being available, because right now it's still listed as available. So, thank you. And oh, I guess I just say, that's why I asked for this handout that we got right before the meeting, that's an artistic rendering of a conceptual plan of developing some of the Southville area just south of the Breakwater trailhead that is proposed to be developed as recreational space and have a covered space structure put up there. If we're allowing a little bit of commercial development at the Breakwater fill lot, that enables this area to kind of to remain as open space and be reconfigured as recreational space for outdoor use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Kinsman.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Smith. Very thoughtful points, and thank you for bringing this back forward. I really appreciate that. I agree with this. I think we need to see what is out there, what the interest is. What I would encourage anyone who thinks they want to put a proposal forward, that there is an appetite in our community for green spaces, covered spaces, parks. So I would strongly encourage anyone who wants to put a proposal in to include some type of that, some element of that in your design and your plan. That will go a long way, I think, because it's no secret with council and with this community. I would encourage, if it's not this specific lot, if you can come forward and with plans to put something on a different lot that you own or have, that will also go a long way. Okay. Again, we looking for whatever goes on this lot. It is the entrance to our community. We want it to be intentional, aesthetic, and welcoming for our community. This is what people see when they come via water to our community. So just things for anyone who's thinking they might put a proposal in to take into consideration. If we might get a I just want to, if I might, get your insight on sending this out and going through the process for appraisal. Is there actually a benefit to that? Are we actually going to come back with a higher number based off the amount of energy and effort we're going to put into that?
I mean, that's kind of, I don't know.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah, not answerable question.
Was that a motion to suspend the rules to invite her out? Is that my understanding?
Thank you.
He said it would be okay.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Would you like to complain to that?
No, I just wanted to make sure we follow the correct
Yeah.
process.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that it's kind of up to your decision, because I think it's pretty low currently valued, but also the space of that lot is not buildable space. It's, and the footprint goes down into like the breakwater area, so. It definitely would be up to you guys what you would want to see happen with that appraisal. So,
And I guess that is, it can be up to us, but I would lean on some subject matter expert to weigh in of, yes, we may come back, or absolutely not, this is, so it sounds like it's a wash, it's whatever we decide. Yeah, there wasn't anything saying yes, and there wasn't anything saying no.
Yeah.
Obviously, Blair. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see an appraisal done on that. Is that something you agree with?
gonna be far out, I'm sure, they're hard to get.
Yeah.
And then if we don't wind up picking anyone, then we're the cost of that appraisal, because it's not gonna go with the set.
Or, yeah. I don't know, Susan, maybe, I don't know when the assessors looked at it last.
I don't know when they did industrial land last, we can look.
I mean, that could,
They'll
to
be
see
here
if
in the
that's current, you know,
spring.
the assess file might be
Right.
2 years old instead of last year.
That's great. Thank you for direction. That's all I was looking for. And something for council to consider that input. So thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Zastro. I do appreciate, Councilmember Smith bringing this back up. When we had our previous discussion about it, we had a split vote. It kind of went the way I didn't expect it to go, but kind of glad it did. It's an opportunity for us to think about this a little bit more. I'd say everything that Councilmember Smith has brought up are things that I've thought about. We do have other recreation space in the harbor. This is a location that already is fairly industrial, so. You know, what do we envision that space being used for as it relates to commercial fishing operations? I also recognize that it's interest into our harbor, it's interest into our community, and there's an aesthetic concern to take into account, most definitely. And also the concern of the value. I think that was just a rough estimate, but if we were going to get an appraisal, I would imagine it would be worth more than what we were saying it was, around 300K. So I guess my thoughts on it are, I don't want to see us rushing into anything necessarily right now. There's clearly a lot of public sentiment on how that will get used, and I think we have an opportunity to potentially go out to the public and get input before we make any decisions on what we think we might want to do. Obviously, the process takes time. We go out, request for proposals, people have an opportunity to do that. At any point during the process, we can pull it back and make a different decision. I don't think we should that though. I don't want to see us going down a path until we have a little bit more information. So my feeling is we should do a little bit more investigating on how that property could be used by the public, how they envision it being used. And not necessarily start this process right now, going through request for proposals. Okay, thank you. Councilor Jones.
Yeah, I think we just had a big changeover on council, and I'd like to refer this back to staff until the new council seat and they can decide. Because they're the ones who were just elected to make this decision.
So I would agree with that too. So that was a motion and a second. Yeah. Refer to staff. Anybody want to object to that? Anybody want?
Yeah, I would object to that. I would like to have my input in this for the public to hear and to understand. You know, having 30 years of building experience and 15 years in government, I might have some insight onto this issue, and then we can move it back.
I would
Okay,
object as well because I haven't had an opportunity to speak.
Yeah, I'll wait till everybody has a turn to speak then before I'll withdraw my motion. And I'll wait until the end.
So motion is withdrawn. Do you have any other comments, Councilor Jones?
Yeah, my comment on it would be that, you know, we just did this last year. We only had one proposal to jump and we leased it to them. And I don't really like going back and pulling their lease to sell it to somebody else. Everybody had an opportunity. It was well advertised. And they were the only respondent. So I don't have a problem with this moving forward in the future. I think that there should be some sort of I don't know, a review time, maybe every 3 years we look at it, or every 5 years we look at it. But I think just waiting a year after you just leased it to somebody else, I know if it was my business that was affected, I'd be really upset. So that's my 2 cents. But ultimately, I think that there's gonna be 3 new council members here, and I think they should have a say too. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Rainey.
Yeah, I'd like to see public input on this. It was pretty highly contested the last time we had proposals go for this lot. It's kind of the last stronghold, waterfront property we have. So I'd like to get some more public input, and I also recommend that, we put this forth to the new council members, since the majority of, we have a pretty large turnover coming up, and I'd like to see some input from the new council members on this.
Counselor Baylor.
Yes, I definitely agree with the referring this back for the new council, but I also agree that we should have a little bit of say on this now. So let's address the first thing that was said. Let's put an industrial cannery on there and have a green space. That's not happening. You can't have those two in the same little area like that. You can't zone it that way. So you can't make a park on an industrial lot. And somebody's going to get hurt around. So that can't happen. So you have to make that decision right now. The other thing is the public spoke on this lot very strongly once because this lot was agreed to sell by council. It was a strong business plan and the community said no to it. And they did it in an expensive way for us because they, well, I'll let the city clerk can help me out on that, but they said they petitioned it and we had a vote and they voted down. So you should probably pull up the minutes and the actions of what happened there and kind of look at that. Because I would agree with some of the comments. We need to go back and let the public speak to this. I think there's probably stronger support to eventually have that as a green space or some type of like that. As far as evaluation, I think you're wrong in going out there and trying to spend money, get that evaluated. Look, the lot's a unicorn lot. I mean, there's nothing else like it. There's nothing else left. It's worth what it's worth. But the value may be worth more to this community as a recreational spot, as been talked about. So that's my 2 cents. I would not put this out to bid. I would get it back out to the public. We did have some pretty good letters in our correspondence. I would encourage those people that feel strongly about this, get a petition together, and it doesn't have to be wordy. Just say I support keeping this lot as recreational and go get 200-300 signatures. That would go a long way for this next council to give them some idea of where the public wanted to go with this. So after everybody has their say, I would definitely refer this back to staff. Also agree to refer this back to staff and basically punt and let the next council deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Sherman.
Sure. Thank you very much. I agree with Counselor Baylor. This is a pretty important lot in Cordova, and I think the public has mixed emotions about it, but I do agree that it's a pretty cool green space, public space that we could really use to identify the community in terms of our interest. And I just think watching the fleet come in, etc., is all really great. And so I'm gonna say refer it back to staff. And I think we should all look at it in maybe a different light.
Okay, so I think I heard a motion from Counselor Jones.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to refer this back to staff, bring it back once the new council is seated.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, all those in favor of referring, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Back on your desk, Sam.
Amanda's desk.
Amanda's desk. Okay, where we at? New and miscellaneous business, council action to direct staff to make application for 2025 PIDP grant.
Mr. Mayor, I move to direct staff to apply for the 2025 Port Infrastructure Development Program.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Counselor Jones.
Yeah, so I asked for this to be put on the agenda. Mainly, I just felt like council should, for something this big, I mean, we're talking a $20-25 million grant opportunity for our community with very low match from the actual city coffers. So I just felt like city staff took it off the table on their own without even us discussing it. I just wanted council to discuss it. Maybe we don't move forward with it, but I felt like we should have the discussion. I personally would like to see us move forward with it. It's, you know, $30,000 and it could get us a 20 to $25 million project in town. I think that's a slam dunk. And we just, earlier we voted on $30,000 to survey the dump. I mean, $30,000 to get this thing, another grant asked to bring in a $25 million project. And leveraging private match from our largest sales tax and one of the largest property taxpayers who's willing to invest with the city. Everybody talks about being good for business and being open for business. Well, they're willing to put in $3.5 million last time we checked. And you know, if it gets us a big project, there's ways to scale back some of the cost if we can get into that 20% match range too. I mean, if we did the H pile like we did on the South Harbor instead of doing sheet pile, that's a huge savings. So I want to see this put in and yeah, so that's why I brought it back and made the motion. So.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Sherman.
Agreed with, Counselor Jones. I would like to hear discussion on this specific item from staff in particular. So I brought it back to the table.
Okay, Councilor Baylor.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from staff.
You want to hear from staff now?
I'm fine with that, but are there specific questions?
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying to summarize it in my memo, but I think I hear what Kenny's saying. But I think the impact isn't the application. The impact is actually getting the grant. Because as we learned, this is also a merit grant. You have to fulfill the grant agreement. You have to have your environmental done. You have to have a risk assessment done. There's multiple things you have to do. And whether you can get that repaid back to you is marginal. I mean, we thought we had that totally under control and we really didn't. Also, if we, and this is just about priorities, this is really about priorities. If we take on this grant, even if it is matched and everything's there, we cannot sustain that reimbursement schedule. I mean, we could not put another grant into place. I mean, you're gonna get $3 million, $4 million, $5 million bills, and you gotta submit and wait. And we've already put 3.9 million out of the general fund into the South Harbor. I mean, this is true for any grant that we move forward with. If we move forward with a large scale grant, that's our grant, that's it. Because we don't have, unless you guys want to use a permanent fund, you know, that's really the only way we can move, keep the city rolling and keep those reimbursements and payments coming.
Good job.
So we talked about priorities at the other meetings, and I think like we didn't even talk about the big grant, so I'm not sure where council's view is on priorities for that. Oh, and I can answer any questions. Anybody else?
Guess I've got a question. So all the particular items that were being considered and proposed by the Harbor Commission that have been considered for a North Harbor renovation, not very clear. I guess what I would like to know from staff, from you is, so the things we talked about last time we met, we had our workshop going through critical infrastructure needs. And you had said like wastewater is critical infrastructure need, millions of dollars worth of work we need to do. When I think about the North Harbor, I'd like to know from you, what's a critical infrastructure need there that we do need to address? I'm assuming it's not everything that's outlined that would be in this proposal, but are there anything you consider critical need?
I think Breakwater Avenue means it is high on the list because it is sloughing off into the harbor. Does it need everything? Do we need that grant to address Breakwater Avenue? No. You could put it into a smaller project. I don't know then that it would score well for the PID grant. But, you know, that's my opinion, that road is slipping, it is dangerous for pedestrians. You would have to expand that into the harbor somewhat.
Yeah, let's go down the list here. So who asked for the report first, Baylor or Sherman? Sherman was up.
Yeah.
I was just gonna, I guess. I don't know, I'm not sure I need a full report. And I'm comfortable with moving forward.
Hey, Councilor Baylor?
Yeah, so a local match of $3.85 million will. No, what is the city? I'm reading this wrong. I don't totally understand. What does the city cost match? What are we looking at? Any idea?
Well, that comes up to, I think it was 13% or something, so that we can use that as our match, that could be our total match, but it's not all about the match. Right, that doesn't mean we don't have any other expenses. You know, we still have to do the environmental work, we still have to do all these other things, we have to do engineering, we gotta hire a project manager.
No.
I mean, we were successful with the Southville Harbor project, because we had a project manager, and that's all we did. We can't do that in-house. We just don't have the staff for that. So there, you know, that was a full-time position for a couple of years. And I will say that if I learned anything from the South Harbor lot, or not South Harbor lot, South Harbor project, it's like we move too fast. We need to really be sure we're gonna have our environmental work done, so we're not sitting there at the drop dead time. Hoping that the environmental work comes, we put that environmental work in place, and we had all this other money to spend, and we did spend it. And it worked out, but in this grant, we're not gonna have that. We don't have 7 or 8 other sources to help us. Or long lead times, which we won't have as much of that, but we're gonna have to wait before we actually go into a contract, which means it could be another year after the award or more. So
Okay.
we
Well,
have to put a match in, it lowers our choice.
yeah, I guess
Funds in for a match is what I should say, yes.
I see so many other urgent needs of the city and our infrastructure, and you know, we did our budget on a wing and a prayer, hoping that we're going to bring more tax dollars in, raw fish tax, which we may not. I don't see moving this forward at this time, but I hate to keep punting, but this also may be a good topic for the next council to take up if they want to take on debt like this. So I would say no at this time, or refer this back to staff and get more input on it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Smith.
Thanks. I think one of my big reservations is I don't know that there's actually an accounting like this at Marriott, but I can't help but think that there would be somebody looking at past distribution of funding saying they just got $30 million from another project, and it seems unlikely that we would be awarded. I mean, I know it's supposed to be competitive when you go through the whole scoring process, but I just can't help but think in the big accounting of things that it would be tough for us to get another grant that size. But I agree with Councilmember Baylor, we do have a lot of other pressing needs, and I also think it's possible to, like what Councilmember Zastro and the manager were just talking about, can we break parts of this out and submit it and look for other funding sources? Because, yeah, we could certainly, just focus on the traffic, the foot traffic and the needs for road upgrades and improving the flow of traffic and foot traffic in that area, because it is dangerous. So what are some, can we break this up into smaller projects and go after money that way? Is that an option? So I hesitate to put more staff time into this. I think we've applied at least 3 times. 3, is that right? Yeah. And then given what the manager said about the cash flow and those other upfront costs are not insignificant, getting all that environmental review work done and then dealing with cash flow. So I feel like that's a big undertaking for us that maybe we don't have the resources.
Thank you, Councilor Kinsman.
Um, Thank you, Sam, for all the information you've given. There is good information in here. And I think your comment was spot on. We just had strategic planning last council meeting right before, and we have some pretty significant needs at some very significant cost to the city, and grant, as we discussed, will likely not cover even to the extent. We're gonna have to get creative on how we're gonna fund it, which just means those are things that actually have to come out of the city's pockets and city's resources, and from whether that's depending on the size of the project, bring on another project manager for that. That's where I guess I see our needs being, because there were some pretty serious needs that came out of that list. So at this point, I'm in favor of saying no, but I also could get on board with if someone wanted to refer to staff for the next council, and we could talk and put it out for the conversation piece at our work session, but my take is no.
Councilor Zastro.
Yeah, I'm in line with most of what's being said about the concerns with costs and floating more money through our general fund. I do not want to see us take anything out of our permanent fund, simply because we do have. Oh, let's see what we want to wait.
Was it, did we lose them? Oh, we did. Oh, no, they're
There
still
they are.
You
Yeah, I'm not that interested in thinking about using our community fund for anything like this, simply because we have a lot of infrastructure that we identified during our workshop. It's in critical need. So, we want to throw the concept into the midst of the rest of our strategic planning. And again, as Councilmember Smith just said, maybe breaking out parts of it. I can see doing that in a kind of a workshop session, but I won't be supporting this today going forward.
Hey, Councilor Rainey.
Yeah, so the due date for this is 4/30/25, so not referring it back to staff at this point, because that's ridiculous. But we just finished a huge harbor rebuild. We fought over the budget down to $1,000 here and $1,000 there, and this is not part of the budget. And we have other infrastructure needs that are a lot bigger and stronger than this, so I won't be supporting this.
Hey, Councilor Jones.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's comments. So a couple of points that I missed in my opening comment was, we're selling a transporter, so, there's some money back in the harbor reserve fund. We just got a disaster relief, check, or will be getting one for $760,000. That's going back to the permanent fund. That's directly from the commercial fisheries resources. We have 2 more disaster relief, debt coming down the pipe. So the governor just approved the 2024, so that's now going to the feds. We have the 2020 that is coming down probably this fall at some point. It's going to be a little bit smaller, probably not 700, but it'll be 300,000 to 400,000 more that the city's going to receive off of the 2020. So there is money coming down that could be used for this. We stripped all of the disaster funds that were allocated for the 3-stage dock rebuild, which is part of this project as well. And, you know, saying that we just did a big harbor project and we don't need to do another one, well, this really isn't that much of a harbor project. I know it's adjacent to the harbor. But, you know, we have the old science center building and a pier that are, you know, getting ready to, well, at least planning and zoning told me they're getting ready to fall in and they can't rent it to anybody. And it's just degrading further and further, getting weathered. And eventually the city's gonna have to deal with that. This is a way to leverage private match, to deal with the city problem, to shore up the road that's falling into the ocean and causing more issues. It's also a life and safety issue. You have cannery workers that are going around that corner by fishing game all the time. I don't know how somebody hasn't got hit and killed. When you're bringing your bow picker over there to Cordova outboard, or you've got Cam 2 running unsecured loads on their flatbed trucks with full of fish coats. I honestly don't know how it even works. This is a way to alleviate all that. And to support one of our largest sales tax and property taxpayers by giving them something that they've been asking for years. We went out to bid. We had multiple fuel suppliers that were solicited. They were the only ones who said they were interested in working with us. I don't know. I think it's a slam dunk. 30 grand. We just spent 30 grand earlier tonight. I didn't remember having that in the budget either, but you know, we're gonna go survey our dump. Why can't we work on trying to get another $29 million project down? And I don't think it needs to cost 29 million. There's ways to scale this back. You don't have to do the sheet pile. You could do the H pile and save probably 10 million bucks. So you can get your 20% match that way without putting any money from the city coffers. It says right here, we'll have to shell out 500,000 if we even receive it. Odds are we probably won't receive it this year, but just putting your name in front of somebody multiple times, that never hurts. And you know, like Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I figure just shoot the ball, see what happens. Thanks.
Anybody else around too? Yes.
Yeah, so like I said, none of this is in the budget, and getting a grant is not just putting your name in front of somebody. There's a lot of time for staff involved in this. There is extra funding above and beyond, and we've just had a huge upgrade to the harbor facilities. Now we need to start looking at some of our other infrastructure. The money from the disaster fund was paid out to the fishermen, and the money that was paid to the city is in the permanent fund and should be used for the city infrastructure. So I believe that at this point, because we're looking at less than a month of time before the due date is for this, that we not waste staff time on this, and we look to other infrastructure questions and certainly add the problems to the harbor to our strategic planning. But I think this is something that is out of our wheelhouse right now, and we need to put it to bed.
Anybody else, new information?
I've heard twice now that it wasn't under strategic planning. It was the first item on the front page on the list under Port Harbor. It was the first one.
Excuse me, I didn't say it wasn't part of the strategic planning. I said it was part of the budget. And I'm answering the question that was just posed to the.
I didn't recognize you.
You didn't recognize him.
I did. Anybody else, new information?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
We do have bond and loan payments also for the harbor.
We have what?
Bond and
Oh,
loan
bond
payments
and
that the harbor has to pay for, so those are. And there's no more money left in the negotiation fund, so I just want to put that out there, you know, it's an important thing to think about. We still have those payments to make, and they're large.
Anybody else? Susan, can you call a roll on this one?
Yeah, so this is to, direct staff to make the application, right?
Correct.
Is the motion?
Correct.
Tom Baylor,
No,
Ken Jones,
Yes.
Dave Zastro,
No.
Kristen Smith,
No.
Casey Kinsman,
No.
Wendy Rainey,
No.
Kathy Sherman.
No,
Motion fails. 1-6.
Okay, thank you. Council concurrence and mayor's appointments to the fisheries committee. I would like to appoint John Williams, Blake, Jensen, Hayden, Rosie, Dylan, and McCune. For those 7 seats.
So who did you leave out?
Brown.
Okay.
And I just might say, no, I said Williams first. I just wanna say, I appreciate everybody's, putting in and, everybody's more than qualified to serve, and I would encourage even, whoever doesn't get appointed to attend the meetings, and, we have a couple of items that we need to get the fisheries committees looking at, the proposals for the latest round of Board of Fish and the governor's push for inland farm, fish farming. So, like to get the input on those as soon as possible. So anyway, those are my appointments at this point in time.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we concur with, the appointments we just heard.
I'll second that.
The moved and seconded, any discussion?
Oh, yeah, I think the 7 that you put forward are really good picks. They represent a cross section of the community and, multiple different permit holders and, yeah, we got some CDFU representation on there. I think that's good. And then the non-CDFU representation and processor on there. And I think it's a good mix. I look forward to seeing them, in action.
Any other discussion?
Just thank you. It's great to see applicants for boards, and especially one we're just trying to stand up, so.
Yeah.
I think this was a great
Things
thing.
we certainly appreciate all of the input there. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Oops, sorry, opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Pending agenda. Can we get a note to those fisheries committee and ask them to take a look at the current Board of Fish proposals and the governor's proposal for the fish farms? I think that has to go through the legislature, right? So if there's any bills or anything that we need to comment on, input on, they could meet relatively soon. And please give us a preliminary if we should be commenting on those to either the Board of Fish or the governor. And we'll put on the next agenda, the executive session for the evaluations, please. If you haven't got your evaluation in, get that to me in the next week and a half. Don't wait till the day before to get it in. Yes, Kristen.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. 2 things. So I got to go to the Alaska Municipal League Conference a couple weeks ago on my way to another conference. And one of the topics covered was the PERS and TERS, the public employee retirement system and the teacher retirement system. And I wanted to ask the council and
You're not in the mic.
the future council, sorry, thank you. So the AML staff has put together a slide deck, which we could either just email to staff, but we could also invite an AML person to make a presentation to council at a future council meeting. I think it would take 10-15 minutes at the most, but I just wondered if council would be interested in hearing about that.
I definitely would. If you have somebody here to present.
Yeah, or they could do it by Zoom and
Yeah, sure.
do a slideshow. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I would be interested as well. I mean, back to the budget, this is where I was really trying to drive down, breaking down the costs of personnel costs and what are other items for this very reason. So, yeah.
And I have one more thing, since we talked about the breakwater fill lot, and it sounded like council members were asking for more public input. What are we talking about, a work session where we invite public comment? What do we want to put on a future agenda?
So is that AML thing a go for when? Am I just putting it on pending agenda, or should I contact them and ask for an upcoming meeting?
I would,
Contact Nelson, ask.
Okay,
I would do it after the new council gets
okay,
set up,
So
because
in
you got
April.
half of the
Yeah,
council
yeah.
switching over.
okay,
Thank you.
got it.
Does the typically do we invite or do the new people on the
Yeah, they,
council,
they don't,
do they come to the next meeting?
they
They're
can,
They're not part of it, but
they're not part of it. Their terms begin the day after certification, so
I think maybe,
meeting will be April
their first meeting will be
or
April
something.
second, yes.
I think maybe it'd be good to at least invite them individually to attend the next meeting.
Sure,
Just because, so that they can keep up
Yeah.
with what's going on.
got it.
Anything else?
I mean,
Yes.
back to your point, I also have the same question. How do we solicit input from the community?
Yeah.
What is our avenue? Is that a work session? I don't know that I heard an answer.
And what is the quest, like, what are we asking for? What's the goal? What are we, yeah,
And, yeah, I mean, beyond, like, if we actually have an in-person work session, maybe there's other ways to get solicit responses, right? Some type of questionnaire, I don't know, what's an appropriate way to do that?
You gotta have cookies and
Right.
invite people to come
Bring their.
talk about it.
well, I think we should talk too about what we're trying to get out of it.
Sure.
I mean, what do we wanna come away with? What are we looking
What's the end
for?
goal?
What's the end goal,
Yeah,
right?
what kind of side goals?
Yeah,
Um,
and so I guess that maybe that could be a topic on the March 19th agenda. A discussion topic is what are we trying to achieve with getting
I
more.
mean, it seemed pretty, like, I don't know, two things. I guess maybe this is just a moot point until we have new council on here and then have that conversation. And because it was very like unanimous, we want more public opinion, we want more public opinion, we want more public opinion. Public, are you listening? We want your opinion. Crickets. Crickets.
They've been writing letters.
Which is great, and that is part of my council. I'm not going to get to that.
But I mean, is the question, what is the question? Are we saying, do you want public open space or do you want to allow some commercial development? Is that, I mean, we want. I think we gotta get a little more specific.
I guess my thought is, suppose we do need to get specific at some point, but I think initially, I think just general ideas isn't a bad thing to get, read a little bit more, vague, and see what kind of responses we get from the public.
Hold some kind of raffle or something that every comment gets a.
Rubber duck.
Gets,
I think we could throw some ideas out there in the memo as well, you know, of options. I do think sometimes like a lookup is a little less
Yeah,
formal
Mhm.
and might be something that could occur. I do think a work session will require it at some point.
Mhm. Yeah.
We could throw out some ideas.
anything else we have on the next meeting? Were we doing a work session?
That's on the schedule.
Yeah.
And we will be working through some of the top ones that we talked about, 4 or 5. As much as we can get for grants and things like that. And we had talked about asset manager, I don't really had the time to look into that. But I do think if you guys are wanting criteria, get some criteria, and, you know, let's get it on paper. I don't know what you're exactly thinking, but I don't know. I understand the greatness of a database and an asset database, but I also understand the logistics of filling that, learning how to use it, getting what you want out of it. We know our projects pretty much. We pretty much have we have that condition assessments of most buildings. If we had if you have some kind of criteria in mind, like, is it still standing? Oh, there's one. You know, something like that, we could go through those that way. So maybe developing some criteria would be helpful at that meeting. Or we could suggest some.
It's our criteria for,
For-
our infrastructure or
ranking.
for an asset management.
No,
Yeah.
for ranking our current infrastructure. That's what the message that I got from the last meeting, like, we don't know where we want to start.
Right.
We don't know what's worse.
Okay, so we got a work session scheduled. Anything else we need to have on the agenda? Just
This isn't really on the agenda, and if you, so you might say it's out of order, but I meant to say under correspondence that, some of the correspondence was about comments on the STIP, and I thought maybe we should just submit a letter saying we still very much want Second Street to move forward as soon as possible, and the same thing for Whitehead Road, we should at least comment on it, submit something. So that, like I said, it's a little bit out of order, but.
Yes. Was there any objection to that? Put in some comments on that step.
And along those same lines, hopefully it was clear, I thought it was with the EAS and defense instead of support.
Anything else? Okay. Moves down to audience comments. Anything anybody out there wants to talk about? At all, doesn't have to be on the agenda. Ready? Mad rush to the mics. Okay. Takes us down to council comments. Councilor Rainey,
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Councilor Jones,
Yeah, I just, really quick, I don't know the process for this, but I'd like to correct something that I said earlier. We were discussing the harbor, North Harbor grant. I singled out one cannery and I shouldn't have done that. I should have, just said all cannery trucks with unsecured loads. It's not just one entity. It's also 90% of anybody in town that owns a pickup that whips around that corner with 2 nets in the back. I've done myself multiple times, so, the point I was trying to make, and I hope that the meetings can reflect this change, is that just all unsecured loads going around that corner being a hazard to pedestrians, not just one particular company's, so. Thanks.
thank you. I've seen a net from Harvard pull out all the way to the post office, laid on the street. Anyway, Councilor Baylor.
Copper Highway, low water.
Yeah, well, just thanks everybody for being there, and one more meeting to go. I was kind of gathering some thoughts and some of my parting thoughts, maybe some advice for the incoming council people, and one of those would be, just, it's okay to disagree, leave your personal feuds and feelings at the door when you come in, and be respectful and be humble. And we're there to do the business of the city. And then, of course, tonight I went and threw out my resume saying, "Oh, I'm so important, I should talk to this." So sometimes it's hard, and I catch my own self. But I'll have more to say maybe next week. But I appreciate everybody being there, and thank you.
Well, that was humble in itself.
Thank you, Councilor Smith.
Thank you. Yeah, I just think about the things that we talked about. I appreciate what Councilmember Jones is saying about the importance of renovations in the North Harbor area, so I don't want to be dismissive of saying that there aren't great needs there. I just think the grant landscape going forward is gonna be a little bit different, and at the federal level, and I am happy to work with the city and see what we can do to break out parts of those and still get them to happen, because it definitely is a pedestrian hazard on that area. There's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of people moving through there, and it definitely needs to be reconfigured. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sherman.
Sure. You got me with the last chocolate in my mouth. I just want to thank everyone for participating in the election. And I'm happy for that people in Cordova spoke out. And I think that I'm looking forward to the future. And I think we're making progress. It's hard. And being in other parts of the country and seeing what they're going through, Well, I don't think we're any different. So we just need to march forward on our own terms and go from there. But thanks for everyone's participation tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Kinsman.
Thank you. I guess, yeah, first and foremost, thanks for everyone who participated in the election and, that great turnout. Far supersedes and exceeds, I guess I should say, any national level of, participation. It's great to see our community getting involved, and voting. So thank you for everyone who turned out, and obviously thank you for our election clerks and all of their hard work. Because we have a very streamlined and virtually seamless process for elections, and it is fantastic. So thank you for that. I encourage, I think we already spoke, it's not certified, but if you are looking at being a candidate who was elected based off of the current numbers, please come to the next council meeting. And if you can't be here, please listen and be engaged, because that's really gonna go, especially for our work session that we have. If you can, again, be in person in attendance or be online. That will go a long ways. Thank you for everyone who submitted correspondence, and look forward to working with the public. And if you can hear that of, hey, this is what's kind of coming down the pipeline, we really want to hear from you on what we want for this North Bill lot, harbor entrance lot, whatever it's going to be called. So thank you. My final thought is I just want to give a thank you to the volunteers down at the fire department, down for our medics. I had the opportunity and the privilege to go attend their last week's Thursday training. Fantastic training. Great to see a good solid crew of people, some young people there. It was good. Lots of new faces I didn't even necessarily recognize from the community being out there, which is great. And thank you to, I guess, the manager and continuing those talks with the acting chief. So thank you. Some positive things going. Hopefully we can make some more progress. Thank you for, especially lots of volunteers in our community, but thank you. Right now I'm calling out that specific organization and their volunteer hours and what they provide and what they do for our community.
Thank you, Councilor Zastro.
Yeah, I'd also like to be clear, I don't diminish the concerns that council member Jones asked about the North Harbor. Certainly the things that have been brought up, the critical infrastructure out of the road, I think there's several things we need to address. And I'm looking forward to addressing that in our workshop for strategic planning to look at what we can take care of that absolutely needs to get done first, and have a good prioritized list how we're gonna approach it. I'm glad we're going to, as a group, put in a letter with our concern for our essential air service. That would be a very horrible thing to lose, and it feels like we're on the chopping block. So that would be a death blow to our community not to have that reliable flight service. Also really appreciative of staff, all the work they do to prepare us for our discussions. Really appreciate the election clerks and the work they do. And I'm also really appreciative of our community getting out and voting in the numbers that we vote, regardless of what the decisions were and how the elections went. Everybody getting out and participating is a huge part of why this community is so great a place to live as it is. So,
Okay, thank you. We will leave it at that. I agree with everything that was said. So I don't think we have any other business, correct?
Correct.
So we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Thanks for calling in, guys.
Yes.
All right, thank you.